Revelation 1855. From the 21st of March 1941. Free will. Must state. Surrender whose? Only the human being is able to use his free will. That is, he is the only creature which is in a state of imperfection and yet has free will. This is a privilege which he can only truly judge when his fleshly cover has been taken from him and he has entered spheres of light. Only then will he recognize God's infinite love, which gave him the opportunity to use his will as he sees fit. The time of earthly change in free will is indeed a great danger for him if he misuses it, but it can also earn him the highest spiritual maturity if free will is used correctly. And that is why every good deed is valued particularly highly if it is not caused by any kind of compulsion but is carried out of completely free will. But once the human being has given himself to God as his own, his will is always and forever equal to divine will, and then his earthly life is no longer responsible, since God himself takes care of the human being if he has sacrificed his will to him. The giving up of one's own will is actually the turning point in his life. What was the state of mu before the embodiment as a human being should be striven for in the stage of free will? The complete subordination of the will under divine will. Thus, the human being should divest himself of what is actually the prerogative of the human being over all other works of creation. What the being desired in the endless time of captivity, when it languished in the bound will, it should now voluntarily surrender. Only then can it truly become free and enter the light, for only the surrender of the will signifies spiritual freedom, because it entails becoming perfect. The being must stand in deepest humility towards God, then it will reach the highest height, for then it accepts divine will and now carries out everything that brings about union with God. Free will was the reason for the apostasy from God and must now also cause the return to Him again. Since the being accomplished the separation from Him of its own free will, it must now likewise seek unification again of its own free will. This is indispensable because every state of compulsion is something imperfect, thus the being can never be directed but must first shape itself. Equally, however, the possibility must remain for him to be able to use his free will wrongly, since this is precisely what characterizes the state of freedom. However, the human being always has the opportunity to remedy the weakness of his will by calling upon spiritual strength. Countless beings stand by him when he is in danger of failing. They mentally present him with the great danger of spiritual decline and thus urge him to use his free will correctly. Thus no being is incapable of subordinating its will to God. It can fulfill its task on earth by virtue of its free will if it surrenders this will of its own accord and is relieved of all responsibility for earthly life. Amen.